Hi everyone, this is Komal Kashish and I'm back with the next episode of the Inside Story. स्वागत है आप सभी का हमारे शो द इनसाइड स्टोरी पे. Well, before that, let me thank all of you for your continuous love and support. As I said before, the purpose of this show is to share personal stories that inspire the audience. And I hope आपको हमारे last 3 episodes से जरूर कुछ सीखने को मिला होगा. Today, I'm gonna introduce you a very unique personality. You will rarely get to meet this kind of a person in today's time. So, without any wait, let me introduce you to this young yogi and young guru, Rohil Jetmalani. Welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me on the show. I'm excited to share.
Thank you, Rohil. Then शुरुआत करने से पहले let me also tell you a little about Rohil. Rohil is a young yogi and yoga acharya, best at presenting, public speaking, and teaching. He has trained about 750 yoga teachers and currently doing a master's program in cognitive neuroscience to study the effects that yoga and meditation has on our brain and nervous system. So, guys, if you would like to know more about yoga and how to get initiated, stay here. Rohil will share some experiences about how yoga can help us lead a healthier life. And for those of you who are passionate about yoga and how to build a career around it, sit back, relax, put on your headphones, and here we go. So, Rohil, starting with the questions. You are born and brought up in Pune, Mumbai, and currently you are at Bali, Indonesia. So, tell me about your background and the journey from Pune to Bali.
So I would start right from my childhood. I began doing yoga actually with my mother. She is also an avid yoga practitioner, and as a child, she had a teacher coming over home, and she was learning a lot of different things from pranayama, meditation, yoga. And at that time, she used to tell me, "Okay, Rohil, come, do if you're not doing anything else, come and do some yoga or do some meditation with us." So initially at that age, I didn't really understand what it was about. And so I was just sort of going and doing whatever she was saying, sitting in meditation, doing whatever breathing exercises. But I would say I truly discovered yoga for myself in when I was in college in university. And at that
Okay.
time, I started doing yoga for multiple reasons. One was for my own mental health because I was sort of everybody goes through, sort of growing up and different
Yeah.
issues that come with growing up, and so just I felt I needed something to ground myself to be able to, with all the pressures around me of people, of taking substances, of so many things are going on. You're learning new things, you're finding your identity. And at that stage
Right.
in my life, yoga and meditation really helped me. And it was astonishing for me how quickly I felt the effects of yoga. And so it was from there that I started the journey by myself. And initially, I never wanted to make a career out of it. I was just simply doing it because I had an interest in it and because it was helping me in my life. And
Yeah.
initially, the goal was to sort of save the world, and I was very passionate about the environment. So I
Okay.
finished university and I joined a sort of policy think tank. It's kind of a research place where we were doing research about renewable energy, energy efficiency, that kind of thing. And after a
Mm.
while, I was like, I'm stuck in the city. Every day. I have to travel 1 hour in the polluted traffic, and
Yes.
then 8 hours a day I'm sitting in front of a computer for doing something that I felt was not even making any real difference in the world. And so that was a turning point where I said, you know what, I'm okay, rather than just saving the world, I just want to dive deeper into these practices and find out what they really are. So even though I had been practicing for a few years, I decided to go to Mysore at that time. And I was just going to go for 1 month, maybe to do like a yoga course and then come back to my work. But
Mm.
once I went and I started to immerse myself, and I was doing yoga and meditation and pranayam for 6 or more hours a day, was when I said
Oh,
that, oh wow,
that's
I'm really enjoying this and I just want to continue doing this. So I didn't come back, and I ended up
okay.
spending close to 1 year in Mysore. And
Oh, that's great.
I later came back when I had no more savings left, and I was like, okay, I need to do something. I need to figure out what to do with my life. And I just
Yes.
started to teach people around me, and one thing led to the next. People liked my classes. Then, well, I think more than anything, I am where I am today because of luck, I would say. Of course, I did work. I worked hard, but luck was a major factor because a friend of mine said that there's an opening in a yoga school in Goa. Why don't you go check that out? And I went
Okay.
there to train as a teacher. So it was a teacher training program. This was about a year after I had been teaching in Pune. So I went to
Okay.
teach there, and from there, after going through a couple of months of training, the owners of the school liked me. They said, "Okay, you can speak well. You're teaching very well. You have a good presence." So they gave me an opportunity to start teaching some of the classes there, and eventually, in my 2 years there, I basically learned all the aspects of how to teach in a yoga teacher training. So the subjects of yoga anatomy, yoga philosophy, the asana, pranayama, meditation. And it was
Yeah.
a process where, because it's a different thing to be able to practice those things and to be able to teach those things.
Feel those
So
things.
from there, I got opportunities then to come travel to Bali, to also go to Morocco, and
Okay.
now I sort of came to Bali. Actually, I was supposed to be here just for 1 year, starting from last year, November. I was
Hmm.
leading a teacher training program here in Bali. It was a new school that was starting up, and they wanted somebody to lead their program. And now,
Okay.
anyways, the pandemic has hit and everything is closed. But I've,
Yes.
anyways, stuck here. Yes,
So I would say the journey has started from your college time, right?
yes,
And
as a yeah,
like you started and enjoying the yoga thing.
yes.
Okay. So tell us about your family. Like, how did your family help you in all this journey?
Actually, I think my family was also another very big reason I am here today, because they were very supportive through the entire process of me exploring, first
Mm,
getting into policy research. Then, even while I was in Mysore doing yoga for that year, I never thought of coming back to teach yoga. And at that point, I was thinking, oh, maybe I can find some nice kind of, maybe a farm, or I was into permaculture. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but I was thinking maybe I can go to some farm or retreat place and just live in nature and do something, work there. Or so my parents have always had this attitude where they are like, do whatever you want, because
mm,
ultimately, if you don't explore things yourself, you will, as you grow up, you'll have regrets. And if there's
right.
a time to explore your life, it's in your 20s. And maybe once you're in your 30s or mid 30s, you can make a decision about career and building up some kind of foundation for. I think that sort of helped me to have no stress on my back, because my parents were not telling me, oh, do this or do that.
Yes.
And so that allowed
And
me to
that's the
explore.
great support. That is all we need. Like every youngster, that is all need. Parent support is all we need.
Definitely. And it's actually come now to a funny stage where my parents tell me that they are jealous of me in some ways, that they wish that they would not have to be in office all day and they could be traveling around the world and, just living the life that I'm living.
Enjoying a
So it's,
better life. Yes.
yeah.
Okay. So, Rohil, you must be aware about the culture of youngster that is prevalent. Sorry, excuse me. Rohil, you must be aware about the culture that is prevalent among youngster. Like they love enjoying party and doing like addicted to social media. So, how did Rohil manage to stay after from all this and become a yogi at this age?
So I would say that it's also a part of our development to break away from all the rules and all the things that our parents impose on us or the society imposes on us. And I think it's an important kind of social development to go against what the rules and regulations, and to have fun. And I think the best age to do that is your early 20s. And I would not deny that I also did those things, and I also had a regular childhood in that sense. But I think there comes a point where where you sort of realize that, okay, this is not what life is about, and
Yes.
do I want to do something positive with my life, or do I want to stay in the same kind of you can say rut or pothole,
Yeah.
So I think that was a luckily for me, that was a realization that happened quicker than for many others maybe. And I was able to then dedicate my time towards projects and myself, and things like yoga and meditation, which have helped me feel peace internally rather than seeking it externally.
That's a great effort, I would say. So, how did yoga help you personally in your life?
So I think yoga has helped me in many ways. I think the core sort of lesson or thing that I've learned out of yoga is the ability to constantly, basically what we are learning through yoga and meditation is to evaluate ourselves, is to analyze our own ways of thinking, our own emotions, and how we
Hmm.
respond to the world around us, and how that is causing us maybe to suffer or to not feel so good, etc. And how I can now use a practice to be able to change the way I react to things around me, to be able to control the way I feel about things, my emotions, to be able to direct my thought in a particular way. So I think that's the key thing, because ultimately in life, we all have different experiences, we all go through different challenges, and we never know what challenge we might go through tomorrow.
Yes, yes.
So I think the most
We,
important toolkit is that you have this tool in your hand, which is that regardless of what happens to you tomorrow, anything can go wrong in your life. And of course, you might go through some difficult emotions and it might be difficult to deal with. But if you have a practice like yoga or meditation, you always have something to lean back on, something to go back to, which is not external, which is not harming your body. It's in fact enhancing your body. You are not having to go into drugs or alcohol or something to forget about your situation, but rather you can
right,
be
right.
completely conscious of your situation and still be able to find some sort of sanity or sense of center within that situation. So I think that's what the biggest thing that yoga and meditation has given me.
Excellent. So, coming to my favorite question, what is the secret behind your this typical sadhu sannyasi look?
I is a lot of people ask me this, and somehow all of us doing who take yoga, many of us at least who take yoga as a career, and men, I would say, of course, tend to
Hmm.
grow out their beards and their hair. And actually, for me, I think this was not so much. Of course, it is linked to yoga in some ways, but it was actually not so much also linked to yoga. As a small kid as well, I wanted to always grow my hair. I was
Okay.
um, I was always, my teachers were giving me punishments in school, writing in my book to my parents that why is his hair so long? Why has he not cut his hair?
Okay. So,
And I
you
would
have this look
constantly
from your school time.
I didn't have long hair, but I wanted long hair. So as soon as I got
Okay.
into college and it was okay, it was acceptable that I can have long hair,
Right.
is when I started to grow my hair. And of course, I didn't grow it fully because, again, that's also an age where maybe you're a little bit shy or
Mm.
conscious of what others think of you, and
Yes,
you don't
yes.
want to look like a complete, a hippie or whatever people
Mm.
think. And
Yes.
so I think through after doing yoga, I was sort of a lot of what in yoga also they say of sort of keeping the natural look. So if the hair is naturally growing on your head and on your beard, why don't you just leave it how it is? And
Mm.
actually now I've come a long way, where it's been now about more than 6.5 years that I have either trimmed or cut my hair, and I've
Okay.
grown quite attached to it. So I would say that,
Yeah, you love it.
yeah, it's sort of, at least my dreadlocks and my beard. I think I would not cut it ever. So that's my current. Yeah.
Okay, that's so good. I mean, yeah, you look really good. So, other than practicing yoga, do you also teach?
Yes, I have been teaching, and I think, of course, the practice came first, and so anybody um, who becomes a teacher must first practice, and I think also teaching in some ways, especially if you gain a knowledge. All of us are teaching each other at all times. So I would
Mm.
say that when we have conversations with our friends or others, we all have a teacher within us, and it's basically the ability to you learn something for yourself, and then the ability to take that learning and give it to others and help others. And I think teaching is something that when I discovered it, it's fulfilling. We don't realize, and oftentimes we see teaching as something very trivial, like when we are in school or college. Oh, he's that's just it's a boring job. You have to deal with all these kids, or we don't somehow in
Uh,
society value our teachers. But teaching as an act itself, if it's in a subject that we're really passionate about, can be very fulfilling because we learn a lot through our students about ourselves, about what we are teaching, and especially when, for instance, in something like yoga and meditation, when what I teach is able to make an impact or a change in my students' life, and I can see that change and they can see that change. That's extremely fulfilling because I know that okay, I have just affected one person. I have made some positive contribution to the world.
yeah. So, do you think that teaching yoga make a decent living?
I think you can make a decent living today doing almost anything, and
Yes.
it doesn't so much depend on what you are doing, but I think it depends more on how you are doing it and who you are. So if you have a
Right.
passion in any particular thing in life, and you make that
Right.
passion your career, and you sort of try and build it up, learning that and learning also things that are related to it, I think you can excel. So in yoga is no different. There is like any other career today. Yoga is very competitive as well. There are a lot of teachers and a lot of new teachers in the whole yoga scene. And at the same time, there are many people who are very successful, have maybe built a yoga business for themselves, maybe a yoga studio or conducting yoga retreats or teacher trainings. And there are also very successful people who are not sort of made a business out of it, but are simply like similar to I am, just a teacher, sort of freelancing,
Mm.
teaching in different places.
Mm.
Nowadays, because everything is moving online, recording videos for
Yes.
different platforms and things. So there is a big opportunity, and yoga at the moment is booming. But
Yeah.
I would say the
Right.
window is, if somebody wants to make a career out of yoga, you can make it any, if you're good you can do it anytime, but now is a really nice window because many people are jumping into it and yoga is booming, so it's the time to get in, or it might already be a little bit late, but yeah, it's definitely a good possible career.
Yeah. So, what role has social media played in your journey?
So social media, I again, I would say it was luck in some ways that I gained a small social media following, and I would not attribute. I'm not very active on social media, though I would like to be more active. So I know a lot of people who do very well, and they're very active on social media, and they manage to get big followings, and are able
Mm.
to, in that process, tie up with brands and also sell their own offerings like courses
Mm-hmm.
much better.
Right.
But somehow I've tried a few times, but I've never got into being very regular because I find that what I'm giving out is not equal to what I'm getting from it, and it's not, somehow for me, was not related to my teaching. So actually the aspect of teaching this practice, I feel, cannot be taught over social media. Social media is just a platform which is showcasing what I have to teach, or what, so, but that, having said that, social media has been very beneficial for me because at a time when I was teaching in a teacher training program in Goa, in
Mm-hmm.
North Goa, a lot of teachers from around the world would come, conduct retreats, or be traveling there. And because of this strong network that I had built, a lot of people were cross posting my things and sort of
Oh,
sharing my profile handle, which at that time got me quite a few followers. And from there I have many other opportunities have opened up, especially now in terms of in the during the pandemic. Many people who have started sort of online platforms, or they are doing
right.
online courses or online classes, things like that, have contacted me, and they've mostly found me through my social media, where they're like, "Oh, we loved your profile. We see that you have something to offer. Can we get on a call and can we do something together?" So I think many opportunities have come definitely through my social media. And similarly, a year ago, in I was invited to go do an event for International Yoga Day in Morocco.
Okay.
And basically the Indian it was somebody who owned a retreat center in Morocco in collaboration with the Indian embassy
Oh,
in Morocco, and they
okay.
also found me on social media. So I would say there are definitely pros and cons to
Yes,
social media.
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So, when is the time you started joining the social media? Like, do you remember the date or the year?
I'm not exactly sure, but I think the it's actually funny because I never had a personal Instagram account. So
Okay.
it was only after I started to teach
Mm-hmm.
yoga, and I saw that okay, everybody says that you need to have an Instagram account if you're a yoga
Instagram.
teacher, etc. So that's when I began started my Instagram, and I think it's only been 3 years or 3.5 years, something like that, since I've had my Instagram. Yeah.
Okay. So you must have a decent following. You have it. So how do you manage to cust- interact with the persons who are asking you questions on the Instagram or would like to teach, would like to uh, learn something from you?
So that's actually something that I would say I haven't done well. That's something that I could definitely do better. I don't engage my audiences very well.
Mhm.
I do have some once in a while a few Q&A sessions, but I feel like I'm very busy with other things and I am not giving the time to social media. And at this point, neither do I want to in that sense. So maybe there might be another period in life where I might focus more on social media. uh, and that being said, I think I am more in touch with my regular students, so people who have actually done a teacher training with me. I always exchange contacts with them. I keep their email IDs, and I have a small newsletter that goes out.
Okay.
Even with that, I'm not very regular, but with that, I'm hoping to be more regular. So a lot of my past students also write to me often asking me questions, things from the teacher training that they have now encountered and they want their help, or they have a student who has maybe a particular type of injury and they want my help. Or so in that sense, I'm very much in touch with my past students, but I have not done a good job of being interactive with people who I have not met in person.
But basically, I would say it is a good mode of communication to you.
Yeah, communication, and more than I feel like for me at the moment, my sort of Instagram handle is more like it's more like a portfolio in some ways.
Yeah.
So if, for instance, I was to travel somewhere and teach, I would not
Hmm.
email the yoga studios. I would send the message through my Instagram to their Instagram page, and I
Link.
found that that is much more effective because like a they immediately see who I am, and they know in some
Right.
ways I have some videos on philosophy, some on breath work, some asana, so they
Mm.
sort of know okay who this person is. And
Right. Right.
without me having to explain to them, oh, I have been teaching these many years and
Mm.
I teach here and there. So for me it's more
Yeah.
like a portfolio.
Yeah. That's right. So, do what is your future plans? Are you gonna totally devote yourself to yoga?
Uh, it I think it depends on how you would define yoga, and in a sense, At the moment, at least, I don't have any plans to go in a traditional pathway, which is maybe to keep teaching and have my own ashram, or that is how usually people would go about it,
Mm.
or my own school. um, I'm very interested in, so like you mentioned and you introduced me in the beginning, I'm currently doing a master's program in cognitive science. And I'm very interested in how sort of yoga can be used in scientific applications to help people. So, sort of merging this ancient science of yoga with maybe more modern sciences, and how it can be
Mm.
used to help people with maybe mental disorders or depression, and even things like boosting productivity, making people more energized. So, how can
Mm.
we scientifically study, for instance, when there are claims made that this particular pranayam produces this positive effect? And of course, some people who have been practicing for many years, they do feel that effect, they experience it. But how can you scientifically verify it and make it such that it is true for each and everybody? So
Mm.
that is something I'm interested in, to bridge science with yoga, and that's at
Okay.
least for now my medium term goal is to do that. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So, would you like to say something to school and college going kids?
I would say that for school and college kids, of course, have fun. This is the best time in your life to do that. Later on, with responsibilities and career and stuff, it's more difficult. But also, while you're having fun, I think also asking yourself what truly matters to you, and being more sort of courageous, because this is the time in your life where you can take risks.
Yeah.
There's nothing to lose. You don't have maybe a family to take care of or anything. And it's the time to truly run after what you wish and to conquer your fears and to do something extraordinary, or do something which is out of the normal, or the society, what society considers normal. So that's all I would say is just continue doing what you're doing, but don't be scared to take risks and do something differently.
Okay, that's great. So, winding up with the questions like, what is your message to the youngster who like to pursue their career in yoga?
I would say that of course, there are many different approaches today. So, one approach that a lot of people take is to do a master's or a PhD in yoga itself.
Hmm.
I think, especially if you are thinking about it from a career perspective, there are many things that are important that make a good teacher. And I think only studying the subject matter of yoga, so only studying about meditation or the Yoga Sutras or the Bhagavad Gita will not make you a good teacher. So I think it's very important to also, especially learn public speaking, to learn to have a good command over language, whichever
Yeah,
language you
right.
choose to teach in. And I know a lot of people today are very interested in traveling, especially youngsters traveling and teaching
Hmm.
yoga. So in that case, of course, a universal language like English is very important. So to have a good command over the English language, to be able to speak, present topics, because ultimately, as a teacher, if you're teaching, say, a class on philosophy, you're making up an hour long presentation
Yes,
or an
yes,
hour and a
right.
half long presentation, which is much harder than just a 10-minute presentation that we usually have to make in your college. Or so, and to at that same time engage people and really so I think the qualities of what it means to be a teacher, and I think most people who enter yoga as a career don't focus on this. So I think it's
Hmm.
important to focus on
Right.
developing as a teacher rather than only developing your knowledge of yoga. So if you can do both, if you can have develop the knowledge and understanding of yoga and its different systems, plus you can develop yourself as a efficient and effective teacher, then then you can possibly do very well through yoga.
Wonderful, wonderful, Rohil. So it's been really amazing talking to you, and thank you so much and for accepting our request. And from the entire Network family, we wish you all the very best for your future.
Thank you so much for having me on.
So, guys, I'm sharing all the social media handles of Rohil on the description. Make sure you follow him everywhere, especially on the Instagram.